how does Xabi Alonso approach it? Because we've seen different approaches against Bayern over the times he's faced them. In that game, didn't put one of his strikers on. And we're like all over Bayern. In the last game that we just saw, yeah, we're all over them, but it still finished 0-0.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a head scratcher, which I know you guys picked up on when you were over there. They were so much on the top, they were so much in the front foot. I think a lot of the chances fell to, certainly 2 or 3 fell to Taylor, which he didn't do particularly well. So that was a strange one. But why would you change your approach apart from personnel? Bayer Leverkusen know they can take the game to Bayern Munich because, and particularly in the last few weeks, Bayern Munich's, and I don't know what Jan maybe think about this, or maybe he's got different thoughts. It looks to me like a Upamecano and Kim and this back four are morphing back into this Thomas Tuchel back four from the previous season. There was a glimpse that it was getting a little bit better. And the 0-0 draw was not because they defended well against Leverkusen. It was because Leverkusen missed the chances. That was why it was 0-0, not because it was a solid back four. But they have started to look like this shabby backline again. And that isn't good news for Vincent Kompany.
Jan?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And sometimes when you see Kim and Upamecano, there's, like you were saying, we saw, wow, this could be a partnership. Maybe they're not good leaders back there, but sometimes they're doing mistakes. You can't believe you're seeing that. That is at the back. And then you have Harry Kane. Imagine now if something happened with Harry Kane. He got that injury, he went off, but they hope that he will be back. Who are they going to play if he's not playing? Tell is at Tottenham. Who are they going to play? Who are they going to come with? So I think there is so much there for Bayern Munich to lose that I saw Thomas Müller said, yeah, all you pundits think that Leverkusen are favourites. Just that Thomas Müller, the Mr. Bayern, got to say that just tells you he is a bit afraid what's going on in this German duel.
They should have been, I mean, let's be honest, they should have been chasing their tail in the game against Celtic. I mean, 20 minutes in, Celtic could easily have been 2-0 up. I mean, it was actually a football game. Yet Bayern, if you look at the stats, Bayern dominated the possession and the chances, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't pretty. And Celtic made it a game. I mean, that's worrying coming from the Scottish Premiership with Celtic's budget. Huge club, but a small budget compared to Bayern. And they went over there and believed they could beat Bayern and possibly could have.
Do you know the biggest problem I think Bayern have is that when Bayern are not at it, they're miles off it. And Leverkusen were not at it. They have a line where they don't go below it. Whereas Bayern, for me, look lost. You know, Xabi Alonso's always talking about the process. And even when not at it, you can see the process trying to work. They make mistakes or the pass is not quite there, but you can see the process. When Bayern lose the plot, it seems like it's all over the place, and particularly with the two centre-backs. I mean, this is not two kids that have been thrown together all of a sudden. How long have these two been playing together? And yet they still look as though they have been thrown together. So, for me, I think Leverkusen are in the driving seat. Not just the Celtic game, but you think of the Barcelona game. I mean, when they're bad, they're bad.
Well, that's a big point that's come up, hasn't it, Jan? The fact that when it's a game that matters this season, there's been questions of this Bayern side, the games that matter, like your Celtics, and when they've come up against tougher opposition. But I do want to go back to something that you said. You mentioned if they're out of the cup competitions, what will happen if they're still leading the league with a nice points advantage, but they do come crashing out of the Champions League? How will that be perceived for Vincent Kompany?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say what will that do to Kompany? Bayern will probably win the Bundesliga. I mean, that 0-0 was so bad for the excitement. We wanted them, Leverkusen, to win as a neutral to have a bit of excitement. But they're out of the cup, and if they crash out of the Champions League, that is bad news for Vincent Kompany. Uli Hoeneß, the El Padre, La Familia, Bayern, he comes out and say he is the most important coach. We have the right coach, but he have said that before. If they crash out of the Champions League, they're out of two winning possibility with a cup and the Champions League. But another thing that should never happen to big teams is that they're playing worse in the big games. And we haven't even started talking about the 3-0 loss against Feyenoord. So this is a thing that you can't have as a Bayern manager. Yes, he will probably end up winning the Bundesliga, but for Vincent Kompany to be like the big hope that takes him on to the treble, the double, or winning the Champions League. Imagine as well, the Champions League final today is at home in Munich, and if they're so far away from that, and it seems that the only one who understands the seriousness of their performance lately is Joshua Kimmich, and he's like desperate, saying after game, "This is not our level. This is not our level." So I think there will be very bad news for Vincent Kompany if he goes out against Leverkusen. It would have been easier against another team. That is the honest thing and the clear analysis of the situation.
If, who goes through, Jan?
Leverkusen.